This drum has no bottom, if you wondered. It's so I put ashes in here, or I dump this water in, and it has to soak into the ground to go away, so it doesn't get on my feet. And then this is what I drained off of that, the coarse grind that I just took out. No, it's just a little bit of salvage grit and some sand. So there's not going to be much in here, but we won't throw that away. These like $18 for a grit kit of 4 grades. They're all about the same price. So there's the grit that we're not buying right down in there. And some sand and junk. But we just keep putting that back into the course. And it'll be around till it's used up. Now we got that stuff back in the barrel, and we're gonna feed a little bit of coarse grit in there. This is 12 ounces, 12-pound tumbler. Comes in a grit kit where they give you the right amount of each thing, so you don't have to worry about how much. You just use a bag full, and then I'm going to salvage what I can. This is 56 ounces. This holds. I never measure, but I'm going to today. And that's about right there. So what I probably used, I'm going to say right about a quart. And then this 12-pound tumbler takes a gallon almost exactly. So that tells me what I've put in. I've put about 3 quarts into this out of a gallon, 3/4 full, maybe a little bit less than that. Say 5/8 at least. So we're listening. You hear a slump slump and a rattle rattle. Those slumps, if you hear big loud ones like a tennis shoe in a dryer, it means your rocks are moving as a mass, and that's no good. You want them to grind across each other. And that's why coarse grinds should have maybe a little more space, and then after the coarse, the rocks will take up less space. So you really don't want to take one load and go through and put coarse and then medium and so on. You want to do 2 loads of coarse and then select your favorites out until you have about 3/4 of a barrel, and then run that in fine. And just keep your filler coarse around for when you need it, but get as much into that fine as you can. You're going to pay for that electricity and the time on the tumbler and the grit anyway. And some sand, and it all went in. The sand was been in 2 days. The sand was just the dust from my rock crushing and whatever I swept up off the floor, getting all of my broken rocks from here and there around the shop over there. So it's mostly, that would be a silica against silica fight, if you will. And that doesn't, silicon carbide, the black sandpaper stuff and the grit that you'll buy, is a lot harder than silicon dioxide, which is what the quartz group, quartz, jasper, agate, petrified wood usually are made of. So I'm washing out into a bucket here, and then what I can do, I'm not done with the coarse yet, but pretty close. But I wanted to take a look at these. This is a special type of a job here. It's a the petrified wood, okay, has a structure to it. And if you see this structure, you're looking at all these grooves and stuff, you're not trying to get rid of that, right? You want this is an interesting looking piece. What you want to do is grind it just enough to be able to get a polish in there. That means having small sharp things. That's my little junk. Junk I say, but I mean desirable rocks to some people that put it in a jar or something. And these edges work the grit into the spaces between the rocks. If you're going to get anything, if you're going to get junk in your mix, make sure you do it with a coarse when you're running coarse. So if you do it when you're running fine, then a particle of crud will hurt something. The dirt off the floor and junk like that can go in the coarse and it'll be okay. And then you'll be able to separate it out, and a lot of it will just be ground up into nothing anyway, and the dirt will be put in solution and washed away. So here we are with, these were in some salvaged grit and sand and stuff for 3 days, and then 2 days in some brand new grit with some much smaller rocks. And this is my this is my method for making these nice. You can see some of these are wet, but like this one here, now this has a lot of structure, and that structure is preserved. See, even the fine ones, because it hasn't gotten a lot of coarse grinding. And that you really have to watch that coarse grinding, because that's what's going to ruin your the woody look that it has. And on these nice specimens like that, that's what you're looking for. We get it wet and you can see about what it'll look like when it's done. And then here's another one. See this right here? I don't know if we could. I'm not sure what angle you're seeing, but these grains are actually physically, you can feel. And so when it's polished, you can look at it and it'll be slightly rounded from the original thing that was found, but the junk is off the surface, and so you'll actually be able to see more. This stuff that was these things have been 100 million years or something laying in the ground, and they get calcium and stuff on them long after they're formed. And then you don't get to see what's in there unless you do some polishing, but if you do a lot of polishing, then you just see the internals. Like, you could cab this stuff, but a cabochon is just going to be it's not going to show what you had, it's going to just show you the grain in it, and you're going to end up throwing most of the rock away. And it's not really going to be a specimen anymore, which is like, that's the point of these things. They're fascinating as specimens, as raw material for cabbing. They're no better than a chunk of agate out of somebody's great big pile of stuff. That's not why petrified wood's neat. This is a fossil. It's fossilized wood, really. And you can see how they broke over all that time. How they got they tend to break to length, and then also to split some. And here you can see some annular rings in there, and here's some of that kind of matrix, this agate stuff that formed on it. And this white stuff I think is some kind of a silicate that's formed in between. That might have been, used to be the bark. Sometimes you can find a geologist that'll look your specimens over and tell you some interesting things about them. If you get a chance to have somebody do that, what you're going to want to do is take a photograph of each specimen and then take notes, or just record what he says if he'll let you. This is fossilized coral here, I believe. See the little ellipses? Those are the polyps, I think. I guess I've held up everything already. So this gave you an idea when you looked at this. You could see these, the one before I wetted them, you could see how it had that, like this here, it's got a little bit of, it's a matte, but it's got a little bit of a, kind of starting to be a shine, and it's telling you that it's completed in coarse. And then later on you're going to find out, you know, exactly what it looks like when you get polish on it. But when you inspect, you want to see this uniform, almost starting to shine look. If you don't see that, you're never going to get a polish on it. It just plain isn't finished in coarse. And that means that you do have to grind off some to get down to what you can polish. But anyway, I made this video, it's all about grinding the right amount.